Every studio has their thing. Disney has Mickey Mouse, Pixar has the lamp, DreamWorks has Moon Fishing Boy, Illumination has the Minions. And Blue Sky? Blue Sky has this squirrel. Why? Obviously, this movie has its fair share of moments that are purely there for the entertainment of children, like that part where all the metal sticks to Rodney, the part where Robin Williams sings a parody of Singin' in the Rain for some reason, and Jennifer Coolidge's entire character just being a butt joke. In fact, one of the most memorable scenes for me was the one where Rodney and Fender were zooming around in that discount Marble Madness public transit system.
The potion for Will Smith, the potion chosen especially to kill Will Smith, Will Smith's potion.
Contrary to what I was expecting, especially considering the last animated movie he was in, Will Smith's voice acting was pretty good, and he never distracted from the focus of the scene.
That's hot. That's hot.
Okay, scratch that. I hate Will Smith. It was so fun to see the classic Lucy therapist scene in Ultra 4K resolution. The Peanuts cartoons were truly something special, and there's never been anything quite like it. Every time you hear a line that one of these kids says, it's so unique and quirky, and you can't help but think, how did they come up with this? Like, for example, how everyone calls Charlie Brown by his full name? I don't know why they do this, but it just fits. The way they say these things just makes it sound completely natural. One of my favorite lines in the Peanuts movie is when Charlie Brown is talking to Lucy about the little red-haired girl, and he says, if I was something and she was something, then I could talk to her. If I was nothing and she was nothing, then I could talk to her.
But she's something, and I'm nothing, so I just can't talk to her.
That is such a classic example of the utterly unique language of the Peanuts world. I especially like the interlaced scenes of Snoopy and his fantasy about fighting the Red Baron. I mean, they really thought of everything when they wrote this movie. So all in all, Blue Sky did a great job of honoring the Charlie Brown we all loved, while simultaneously telling a great original story using the characters. Ironically, the one part I didn't really like was when they made direct references to famous lines from the cartoons, like the classic, "I've been kissed by a dog" thing from the Charlie Brown Christmas special. They try to find a way to make Lucy say that again, and it just doesn't sound natural. But I don't have much more to say than that, because it really is just like the old Peanuts cartoons, just in 3D. And so I can say with confidence that every laugh this movie got out of me was legitimately earned. Like, I was fucking dying during the scene where Blue was trying to confess his feelings to Jewel on the train.
I have beautiful eyes.
Yeah, okay, sure, they're nice.
I'm unwashable, unrinsable, like an abandoned school, I have no principle.
There's no doubt that Nigel is insane and a sadist, but he has this sense of wit to him that makes him a really entertaining character, as well as a threatening villain. Well, in this movie, at least. It's fine, but it's like flawed in almost every aspect. Like, it's pretty boring, the writing isn't very good, things kind of just happen with no rhyme or reason. Everything that's supposed to be part of the drama is just, like, colossally underwhelming. I should also mention that I frickin' hate Sid. I didn't remember how much I hated him. I do not like Sid. Oh, but yeah, he's funny and he has character development, he becomes friend. No, He's an idiot, he's never funny. In fact, the whole movie's kind of not that funny. And just real quick, I remembered this clip. I just wanted to show it, just to show it to you guys. Just look at this. What was that, dude? Why was that slowed down to like 0.8% speed? It was like, it's like they exported the animation and then they manually slowed it down in like Final Cut or something. Why'd you do that? It's 3D animation. You don't need to do that. There's just an extremely way too long sequence. It's a dream sequence in Scrat's brain, the squirrel. A dream sequence from Scrat where he's like in heaven with a bunch of acorns, and it's like, who wrote this movie and what was he on? There was no story in this movie. It was just things happening. The awkwardness of the pacing and the dialogue was improved upon. This one's about dinosaurs, so this time they actually expanded the world more and gave us more to look at. I like Buck a lot. I like his character a lot. He's really entertaining, actually, and I laughed a fair few times, genuinely, at his jokes. Even Scrat's subplot with the lady squirrel, like he meets a lady squirrel and they fight over the nut, but then he like falls in love with her. That was actually pretty funny. It was so stupid and random. It was actually kind of funny, even though it had nothing to do with the rest of the plot. But just like the other two, it's just too mindless. like, I'm still getting that vibe of just like, this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and then this thing happens. This one dragged a lot less than Ice Age 2, and in terms of story, it was kind of on the same level as Ice Age 1. But honestly, I think I'd put Ice Age 3 above Ice Age 1, just because it has better animation and, like, more exciting action sequences. But I'm actually surprised that this movie was as okay as it was. So let's see how Ice Age 4 and 5 goes. We're at the 4th movie now, and I'm starting to realize just how repetitive and formulaic these are. Here's the formula. Here's the definitive formula for making an Ice Age movie. The first scene is a scene of Scrat dicking around with his acorn or something. Then it cuts to our main characters and we get straight into the drama, the conflict of the movie. Some natural disaster happens and then the characters dick around for an hour and a half through various landscapes of the prehistoric world. It is imperative that the events do not connect to each other in any way. They have to be as incoherent as humanly possible, as mammothly possible. Resolve all inter-character conflicts in the movie in a sort of satisfying but kind of forced way. They save the world from another natural disaster. The movie ends with one final scene of Scrat dicking around with his acorn and screaming. Every single movie so far has ended with Scrat screaming, that is just so lazy. Like, that is so lazy. You begin and end all your movies the exact same way. At the end of the movie, in the credits, they do this little thing where, like, they show all the actors' faces right next to their characters, and they're all singing a song together about family or something. And it's supposed to, like, give the movie a sense of personality and, like, let us know that people worked on it and there was passion behind the project. But that doesn't work when I just watched Ice Age 4 Continental Drift. Like, what, you want me to start getting emotional in the end credits because you're all singing a song about family? No, shut up. I want to stress again, I don't hate these movies. Being nothing is better than being something bad. At least Buck was there. Buck is an actually funny character, I think. In fact, I think this one was actually a little funnier than the other ones. It had actually more actual jokes than the other movies. There was that one part where Shira and Diego went up to those kids with like berry juice dripping from their mouth, and they were like, "Hi, kids," and they ran away, and that was pretty funny.
Hi, kids! I even smiled this time.
But again, there is just so much of that human reference thing humor where they just like show you a thing that humans have, except it's a little different. Bikinis, mariachi bands, timpanis, hashtags, a toilet, Neil deGrasse Tyson. It just gets old after 5 movies. Like, Peaches got a boyfriend, of course, every character has to hook up. Manny hangs out with Diego at like a bar and they talk about their wives. Manny forgets his wife's anniversary. Scrat continues to be a very unfunny and stupid addition to these movies. I don't know why they continue to focus on him. This time he directly impacts the story by fucking around in his little UFO. I even remember, like, in Ice Age 1, when they were in that cave, there were like references to there were like little hints for the next movies. Like in Frozen, one of the icebergs was those fish, and then there was a dinosaur, and then there was a UFO. Like, I remember that. Holy shit, holy crap. It's all coming full circle. This was the plan the whole time. I really do want to give Blue Sky as much credit as possible, but yeah, you know what? I'm gonna think about these movies for a while. I went into this thinking that it would at least be the least worst. Like, people were actually telling me, no, the first Ice Age was actually kind of good, and then it got bad after they kept making more sequels. But no, it's actually like the most boring out of all of these. There was so little going on, visually, thematically, and literally. The characters were fine. I liked seeing Manny and Diego's origins. They had some actually good character moments, kind of. But then there was Sid. I don't think I need to say anything about that fucker. Now, hear me out on this one. I'm as surprised as you are. I definitely did not expect the last installment of this milk-to-dry franchise would score the best balance of all these things in my mind. Don't get me wrong, I really do not give a shit about these characters. But they had some nice closure in this movie, and the happy ending was justified. This movie might actually make me want to watch it again, just because it has the most interesting stuff going on. The Christmas one is total garbage. I don't like it. But The Great Eggscapade is actually the best Ice Age thing, I think. And there's one simple reason for that. it is mercifully short. See, this is the kind of format that I think these characters work better in than like 90-minute long adventures. There's not enough potential in these characters in this premise for that like lengthy and serious of a story. 25 minutes is just long enough for these characters to make some jokes, do some funny stuff, and have it wrap up without it feeling unbearable. I will say that the jokes about parallels to human stuff is just the worst in this short. But because of what it is, it's just like, it's just good fun and nothing more. Like, I don't judge it on the same level as the feature-length films that they produced about these same characters. Luca, I got 3 words. Mermaids, pasta, and crying. 8 out of 10. Dude, everyone hated the 5th movie. Everyone hated Collision Course. I mean, actually, it's personally, Ice Age 5 is my least worst. But everyone else hated that movie. So, like, why? Who do you think is gonna watch this? Okay, me, but ironically, so I can make fun of it. Who's actually excited for this? Is anyone actually excited for the release of this thing? No way. Also, it's funny that they couldn't get the original Ice Age crew back for this, like Ray Romano and Dennis Leary were just like, nope, fuck that, nope, I'm not being in this shit. It was kind of the same for the Jungle Book remake, but I still kind of like that movie. Hold on, let me look up a scene from that movie.
In the tree to make some honey just for me.
Yeah, see, he's smiling. You can see that, right? He's kind of smiling. That is a smile. They are capable of animating animals smiling a little bit. Okay? That's what we like to call an emotion. Because this is a character in a movie that we're supposed to be feeling something about.
The bare necessities of life have come to you.
And also there's way more like expression in how he's moving his face too. Yeah, he's like moving around his face while he says the words, cause he's singing, and that's what you're supposed to do when you sing. And then let's go back to like f***ing Be Prepared. Possibly the worst movie I've ever seen. Period. Just like Blue Sky's Horton Hears a Who, every single new addition they make to the Grinch story just makes it a little bit worse. I also just think that Illumination's animation style is just like, I think a problem with Illumination's animation is that everything is always so heavily lit, it just looks gross. And that was especially noticeable in the Grinch. I enjoyed Balthazar Brad as a villain, and everything else was just very bland. A slightly more boring version of the second movie. A slightly less boring version of the first movie. Minions. More Minions, but this time with an aggressive 80s slant, and then halfway through a weird Chinese theme. Sure, why not? Who cares? Let it grow, let it grow, let it da-da-da-da-da. Bam, down, down, down. The scenes where they do the thing in the title aren't half bad. Pretty much the same as the first movie, but more epic. Actually managed to retain the same heart and humor and energy as the first movie. Also, I like the spy stuff. Spy stuff is always cool. That's why I like Cars 2. The only Illumination film with real heart and real purpose. Steve Carell's non-specific accent is hilarious. The girls are very charming. Vector is really funny. It's just an all-around very wholesome and funny and wacky and just it's really good. There was a lot of impact in the visuals, so I could still feel something, even though I didn't like this song that much. But everything is so boring, and this is so dark, and like, Scar is a completely different character.
Prepare for the murkiest scowl. Decades of denial is simply why I'll be king. Undisputed respect.
Let's hear that again.
Decades of denial is simply why I'll be king.
Be king! I'm sorry, this is so stupid.